Hello guys, thank you so much for coming back to watch another video on my channel. Resident Evil 9, which is going to be the next Capcom's big Resident Evil title. Now, this game hasn't been officially announced by the Capcom themselves, but has been leaked through some credible leakers out there, just like Dust Golem. And the information we have gathered, it's enough to talk about that how this Resident Evil 9 is going to reboot and reset the whole Resident Evil franchise in a more soft rebooted format. And this is the reason as to why I made this video, to find out why Resident Evil 9 is going to be the title, which is going to do a soft reboot launch for the Resident Evil franchise. Let's find out together. And before I start the video, as I always ask you guys, if you do like my content and you do like this video, do make sure to stick around and subscribe to my channel, and it will allow me to make more of these videos for you guys. Resident Evil 9 is going to be a massive game. It has been leaked before that this is going to be the biggest budget title from Resident Evil franchise. I know it has been in development, I think, since 2018, which is going to be the biggest development year for any Resident Evil game. I don't think Capcom has spent that much time on any Resident Evil title. That's like a AAA title. It is a AAA title, but think about an RPG level of Resident Evil game. I don't think that's going to be the features in Resident Evil 9. It's going to be still the survival horror game, but I think this is going to be the biggest game. If they're spending that much time and spending that much of money on a game which is just like another Resident Evil title. And there is a strategy as to why they are doing this, because they want to spend as much money they can so this game can go to every single house, and people who haven't even touched any Resident Evil titles, they can go back and play all of these Resident Evil games, because they want to make sure this is going to be the top game or the top state of art game they're going to present with the RE engine. Because remember, Resident Evil 7 and Resident Evil 8, these games still look great, and Resident Evil 4 Remake was one of the best looking games of 2023. Now, a bit story spoilers if you have not played Resident Evil 8 or Resident Evil Village. At the end of the game, Ethan Winter dies, and then Chris kinda talks about that BSAA actually been deploying these bioweapons out there, so they're using these soldiers, and I think he's gonna go after them. So it's been alluded that Chris Redfield is gonna play an important role in Resident Evil 9. And this is the reason as to why they have not made a DLC related to Chris Redfield, and the only DLC we've seen, it's concluding the Winter family saga. So I think that window where they're going to introduce us to Chris's last campaign, or potentially would be for Jill Valentine, and even we might see Rebecca Chambers or Leon S. Kennedy, because realistically all of these characters, they have been in the Resident Evil franchise for a long period of time. We have not seen any reboot or any reset for the Resident Evil games. We've seen remakes and we've seen the numbered title, and they're still been appearing, and by the age number and by the titles, they must be in 50s now, so I don't think they can play these characters for next 5 or 6 years. So I think it will make more sense to do a soft reboot. Don't forget about the characters and this lore and the story you have, but you can create a brand new story from this brand new game, which is going to come out hopefully in, I think, 2025. The also reason is going to be that they're going to do a reset and reboot of this franchise through Resident Evil 9, because they've tested their waters with Resident Evil 7, and they weren't expecting that game to be as popular as it turned out to be. And the Resident Evil 7 didn't require any of the story or any of the viruses which is been introduced in the previous games, because in Resident Evil 7 you have mold, you have brand new characters, brand new protagonists, brand new enemies. So the game was completely different game, but at the same time it felt like a proper traditional Resident Evil title. So it was more like a soft reboot, and they already tested it and it worked in their favor. Now you can do as many remakes as possible, you can still do that. There's still space. You got Resident Evil 1, which requires a remake, and that's something I'm looking forward to it. Resident Evil Code Veronica, and I think that game deserves a remake. Resident Evil 5 remake, they might even do Resident Evil 6 remake at this point, but I don't think they can continue for a long period of time with the same characters. You have to, at some point, have to do a reset or reboot. And I think the best way to do it is either kill off these characters like Chris Redfield and all of these main big A-list characters from Resident Evil and introduce brand new ones, introduce a new virus, and go back to the pure survival horror as what we've been introduced back in the 90s. But there has been previous rumors which I would take them with a pinch of salt, because a lot of them talked about these Wendigo creatures and how they're gonna pretend to be more like human, but then you're gonna interact with them and find out who is mimicking as humans. But I don't think that's going to be true, because it hasn't been officially announced. There's no information out there to suggest that. Now, since Resident Evil 7, Resident Evil Village, they have grown so big, and there's a lot of fan base now for Resident Evil franchise, which I'm really pleased for. And I think with the Resident Evil 9, they want to do the justice. They want to spend as much as time they possibly can, because they want to conclude the whole Resident Evil saga, which has been going on for a long time, and then branch out a brand new franchise through Resident Evil while keeping lore and theme from the original games, and continue with the new stories, brand new ideas. And I think that's how this franchise is going to flourish moving forward, and I'm really looking forward to that. Now, they said the game is not going to come out until 2025, which I think makes perfect sense, because the game doesn't need to come out next year. We just seen Resident Evil 4, then Resident Evil 4 DLC, and they both were brilliant. So I don't think we need a Resident Evil title next year. And I think Capcom is focusing on another major Capcom title, which I think is going to be Dragon Dogma 2, which I think will come out next year, or maybe a Monster Hunter game. But I think 2025 will be the year where they'll focus primarily just on Resident Evil 9. So what do you guys think? Are you excited for Resident Evil 9 going to be the end of all the Resident Evil saga into a one game, and it's going to be the biggest budgeted game, and they already spent so much time? Are you looking forward to that game? Please do let me know in the comment section down below in this video. So thank you so much for watching this video. I'll catch you guys again with another video on my channel. Until then, look after yourself. Have a good one.